Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I want to speak to you guys about the fatigue that comes with being neurodivergent. Unless you're a neurodivergent, you generally will not understand or will ever know how exhausting and how fatigued you feel after a day of meltdowns, after a day of constantly having your mind on the go. It's totally exhausting, and I want to speak about that today. But first, if you could smash me a big thumbs up down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I will forever be grateful. So yeah, let's get on to the video. I told you that chronic fatigue and chronic burnout, chronic exhaustion, extreme exhaustion, could be a trait of ADHD or is a trait of ADHD, would you believe me? Probably not, because the stereotype ADHD makes everyone believe that we have unlimited amounts of energy. A lot of us ADHDers, we are kind of like, we're ruthless. We will run and run and run on 1% battery throughout. We will push it till literally the end. We will keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and that ultimately is what leads us to a burnout, because we forget to take care of ourselves mentally, physically. We're just drained, we take on too much, we ignore our own body kind of reminders that we need to drink, we need to eat, we need to have good rest. We kind of just ignore all of those things and just keep pushing, and that is ultimately what ends us being super burnt out, fatigued, overwhelmed, and basically chronically exhausted. So this will surprise a lot of people, because people will automatically assume that because ADHD, the name is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, like how can that mean that you're exhausted or fatigued easily or burnt out? People just assume because the name, the label of ADHD has the word hyperactivity in it, that we have this boundless amounts of energy, and it couldn't be further than the truth. Honestly, fatigue is actually one of the main and the most common traits linked with ADHD, like the most common trait. But even at the same time, it's the most unknown trait about ADHD. So it's really like a bit strange that it's the most linked to the most associated trait with ADHDers, yet it's the most kind of unknown, unspoken about trait of ADHD. And that's why today I want to speak to you guys about this, because I feel like it's super important to raise awareness of these topics that don't get spoken about enough. Not everyone with ADHD is going to be physically hyperactive or even hyperactive at all. Hyperactivity does not mean unlimited amounts of energy, or you're never tired, you never sleep, you don't need sleep, or anything like that. It's just not right. It's not the right definition of what hyperactivity means within ADHD. So my definition of what hyperactivity means within ADHD is our brains need to be stimulated pretty much all of the time, and this is why people say we're constantly on the go. It might look like that, but our brains generally need to be on the go. They need to be doing something. Our brain needs that boost of kind of adventure, that boost of fun, that boost of positivity. We can't do like day-to-day boring tasks without feeling like there's a reward after. We have to have that kind of like we have to chase the dopamine, because that is how our brain works. It's not broken, it's not any less than a neurotypical brain, but our brain does need to be treated differently, and that's okay. That's not in any way broken. It's just we are different. Our brain is different, and that is a good thing. That gives us the opportunity to educate and teach other people that not everyone is the same, and that's okay. So our brain's being stimulated, that can be a whole variety of different things, and it will mean different things to different people. So for example, it could be fidgeting, it could be using fidget toys, it could be talking excessively, it could be moving around on your chair, it could be chewing inedible objects, it could be chewing a pencil, for example. Our brains needing stimulation can mean a whole different thing to another neurodivergent, So it's always best, if you're trying to figure out what could potentially help someone, is always ask the individual what would help, because what helps me may not help other people. And that is the crazy thing about being a neurodivergent. It's like a spectrum. Everyone experiences their ADHD, their autism, you know, all of their disorders, conditions differently, because that's just how it goes. We don't all feel or experience things the same. And that doesn't mean my experience is any more valid than anybody else's, or anyone else's is less valid than mine. That's not how it works. Everyone's experience is valid, and we have to learn that it's okay to not gatekeep these kind of traits, these symptoms of ADHD or autism, because everyone will experience them differently. So the impact of living with ADHD can take its toll in many different ways, and I'm just going to tell you some of the ways that I have personally been affected by my ADHD kind of bad days. You know, bad days, mate, every single day is a bad day, but my really bad days, they can make me feel pretty rubbish. And my autistic bad days, my autistic meltdowns, stuff like that. Like, I'm going to tell you how it takes its toll on me mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm going to share that with you because I think it's really important that we open up, be vulnerable, and let others in, because that's how others feel less alone and more heard and more understood. So yeah, let's go on to some of the ways that it affects me and it takes its toll on me. I have my days where I'm feeling really low, so sad, depressed, kind of unmotivated, and I can't see things getting better from where they are. I feel down in the dumps, like I just can't see things moving forward, and them days are pretty regular, to be honest. I have really bad anxiety as it is, but when I'm having a bad ADHD, bad autistic day, bad ADHD and autistic day, I tell you what, it's hard to really get yourself back up and feeling even just 50%. You know, it's a struggle, and them days are really tough. So also I can feel really ashamed of myself. I can feel lazy, guilty of not doing anything. You know, I feel unproductive. I basically put myself down a lot, and I make myself feel like I'm inadequate and that I'm not good enough to be my parents' child, my sister's sister, you know, my granddad's granddaughter. I think people deserve better than me, and I can really make myself believe that, and it's really tough to get myself kind of back up from those really low days. So I can have extreme mood swings. I could be feeling high as a kite, and then I can literally be feeling as low goes, like, and it can change like with the split second. Things like sensory overload, crowd where I am, you know, the noise, like the environment can trigger mood swings, mood changes for me as well. I can have excessive anger and excessive like frustration, irritation of the little things, and yeah, things just blow out of proportion. So I also have detachment from reality. I can almost make scenarios up in my head and they become believable, and I become quite disillusioned with what is reality and what is not reality. And I've struggled with that a lot, actually, and I actually went to the doctors about it once because I felt like I was living in a cartoon. Like, I didn't know, like, everywhere I looked, it just reminded me of a comic. I felt like I was a character in a movie. I didn't feel like I was a real person. And I really triggered myself. Like, that was a horrible experience for me. But I was dealing with a lot at the time. And I believe it was my body's kind of response to the stress and the overstimulation and the anxiety, the anger, the undiagnosed ADHD and the undiagnosed autism at the time. So, yeah, I have dealt with a lot of detachment from people, from reality, from social situations. It's been a lot, and I really don't like that feeling. It's a horrible and scary place to be. I could become super isolated. I'll isolate myself away from everybody, my family, you know, everybody. I was going to say friends, but I don't have any friends, so I have to stop myself because I don't have any friends. So, yeah. Anyway, I can just totally isolate myself off and put myself in a room on my own for days and not speak to anybody and not want to speak to anybody, and people get quite annoyed because they're like, just tell me what's wrong, but I can't. It's like, I don't want to talk. I don't know how to verbalise my feelings. It's really difficult, not only for me but for people around me, because it can be quite distressing. So this one is what the whole video is about, but I guess this video now is just, I don't know what it's about. But anyway, this one, so it can come out within me. I can really become super tired, lethargic, very burnt out, like I say, exhausted, and I mean to the point where if you don't have ADHD or if you aren't autistic, you will never have experienced this level of exhaustion. Like, it is tiring. I mean, like, you just want to, you can't even keep your eyes open. It's like you just want to go to sleep. You just want to sleep because you don't have enough energy to even open your eyes, because everyday things are just too overwhelming, too stressful, and you just like, nah, I'd rather go back to bed. It's honestly, it's another level of tiredness. Neurodivergent exhaustion is real and is another level of tired, trust me. It's tiring. So the way that I try to explain ADHD kind of burnout and autistic burnout for me is, I feel like, for example, think of yourself metaphorically as a mobile phone, right? You put yourself on charge overnight and you think, oh, I'm going to wake up with 100% battery, but you wake up with just 1% battery, and that's got to last you the whole day. And it's like, I'm constantly living on that 1% battery, and I'm constantly waiting for me to just like, that's it, nap time. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm constantly on 1% battery, and I feel drained the majority of the time, because it's like my mind is just constantly on the go. I'm constantly looking out for things. I'm constantly worrying about everything. I'm constantly like, what can I do next? What can I work on? Like, things are just constantly on the go, and it's exhausting. Like, honestly, it's bloody exhausting, and I wish people would understand how exhausting it actually is, because it's, if you haven't guessed, it's exhausting. Like, how are you meant to make 1% battery last the whole day? Like 12-hour days. Like, how are you meant to make that work and function as a person in society when you've only got 1% battery going on? Like, it's exhausting. I don't understand how we can get it to like balance out. But in all seriousness, ADHD fatigue, ADHD burnout, autistic burnout, neurodivergent burnout is very real. It's very, very real, and it affects everybody, like I say, in all different levels of severity, all different ways. You have to work on yourself. You have to give yourself time. You have to look after yourself. Give yourself some TLC, tender love and care, and, you know, nurture yourself back to basically 4% battery, not 1%, 4%. That's like literally our average, isn't it? But yeah, you have to help build that battery back up, because it is hard and it doesn't happen overnight. So I'm going to give you some tips that I use when I feel really burnt out, and I hope they work for you guys. So I always say to myself, I need to set boundaries. Set boundaries meaning don't overcommit. Don't commit to things that you know you aren't going to be able to achieve without burning yourself out. So for example, if you're lucky enough to have friends, not like me, but if you're lucky enough to have friends, don't commit to socializing too much. Give yourself the break that you deserve, because like we say, some neurodivergents struggle in social situations and end up masking, and masking is very exhausting. It is. So I would say set boundaries with friends, with family, and with work. Don't take work home with you. I know it's not always possible, but if you can, separate your work life from your personal life. Give yourself that break so that you're not constantly working, because you aren't constantly at work. You need to give yourself that break so that you can relax, you know, because yeah, you deserve to relax. You need to relax. Your brain needs to relax and reset and recharge. So always make sure that you put yourself first. That is always, your mental health has to come first, and that is the biggest thing. Make yourself a priority and make your personal mental health a priority, because like I say, it's so important that you give yourself this tender love and care, because how do you expect to recover from burnout if you aren't allowing yourself to recover, and if you're putting more pressure and committing to things that are just making you even more pressurized, more stressed, more anxious? You're never going to be able to get back up to your best version of you. So you need to make sure that you put yourself first always, so that you can give yourself the time, the space you need to recharge. Treat yourself. Do something you love. If you love going shopping, go shopping. If you love going to the movies on your own, go to the movies on your own. If you love going out for a meal with your friends, go out with your friends for a meal. If you love going to theme parks, go out to the theme park. Do something that makes you happy. Give yourself a treat once in a while. Make sure you're not just living like a robot, that you're giving yourself the fun and the rewards you need, because life's stressful. Having ADHD is super stressful. Being autistic is stressful. So give yourself a break. Have some fun. Have some fun and allow yourself to be you. That's honestly the most important thing, is just be you. Allow yourself to be you and be your authentic self without apologising, because you don't need to apologise, because you being you is enough. And yeah, sleep as well. That's another one. Sleep, 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 sleep. Get the rest you need. Have a nice hot warm bath, hot shower. You know what? Even treat yourself to a spa day. I mean, I'm not paying, but go treat yourself to a spa day, I say. Go have a lovely, relaxing day out and just chill. Just chill. So yeah, I really hope this video has been educating. I hope my tips help some of you, and I really hope that if you are an ADHD or autistic or neurodivergent burnout, that you're able to pick yourself back up and recharge and be the best version of you again. Right, yeah. Thank you for watching, and I really hope that you've enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!